Good morning. Today we are going to speak about art of public speaking. Some people used to say talk is always a cheap thing. Do you think like that? Not anymore. A well organized, a thoughtful talk makes people a very lucrative wage. As we all know, we always speak more about things. If it is unorganized one, it becomes an art of the public speaking. Now, we have several opportunities to have this organized speaking. One, at work, where we sell our ideas, where we present our technical topics, where we have the customer presentations and reviews. Wherever we are at our work, we try to expose ourselves in a more restricted, in a more well planned and well organized way. Again, we move to our daily life. There is a number of institutions where we are able to expose ourselves, like the school board meetings, the town board meetings, where we have the PTA meetings or any of the extracurricular meetings where we are going to present ourselves in the most organized way. Now, some people may think what a public speaking is same as conversation. A conversation can be a random talk between one or two or more than other persons. But public speaking as an art is not like the conversation where we try to organize our thoughts. If you're going to give an example for the public speaking, if someone asks for the directions to a house, we try to give go more straight, then turn left, then turn right. The third one is the house where you are searching for, where we know what we are aiming at. Now, when we are talking to something for a doubt, there also, if we know the answer perfectly, we try to explain it in a more decent way where we give a perfect way to the answer. Now, when we try to tell a story with the maximum impact, there also we used to tell. Now, when we go for a public speaking, we always take this listener's feedback, watch for the non-verbal feedbacks, the looks of confusion, the looks of pain or hurtfulness, where we take the response from the listener. Now, what is the difference between the public speaking and the conversation? The public speaking is more structured, where we plan according to time. There, we do not allow anybody to interrupt in between our public speaking. Questions are not allowed to interrupt the speech. Usually, the in practice session we used to keep at the end of our public speaking. Now, public speaking requires more formal language. We know it very well. When we give public speaking, we have to be avoid of slangs, jargons, or with a bad grammar. And speeches should be something special so that they qualify as life events and are remembered. Especially when we talk about the public speaking or the speeches of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, how we remember even after his speech was rendered. Now, public speaking requires a different method for delivery. Say for we use the word, it should be more in a formal delivery. There shall be no vocalized poses, and we don't use stock phrases repeatedly like basically, I mean, something like that. The speech communication process in public speaking, the speaker is the person who starts or initiates the communication, and it is a message whatever is communicated, and there should be a channel by means by which a message is communicated, and there should be a listener, the receiver of the communicated message, and there is a feedback, like in the form of, it can be in many form, like feedbacks, like a return at the end of every like what we used to call it as a, and there should be interference, and the situation, like the time and place of the occurrence even. And next one, very important thing for public speaking is listening. Listening is very, very important. Over our life, we will listen to many more speeches than we will deliver. Listening helps develop our critical thinking. We know that many Fortune 500 companies provide employees with listening training. How to listen to a speech with immense trainings. Studies show a direct link between the academic success and the ability to listen. Listening and hearing are two different things. As as a public speaking, listening is a more organized way, and hearing can be any casual way of listening to anything. Listening and critical thinking. As I already told, listening can be an organized way. There are four types of listening. Appreciative, when we listen to certain music, movies, comedy, plays, we appreciate things. And next one is about empathetic, listening to provide emotional support for a speaker, especially when the doctor listened to the patient. Next one is comprehensive, like listening to understand the speaker's message. As I already informed or pointed out, when we listen to a friend's, the directions to a friend's house, or in a class or in a seminar, then next one is about a critical, listening to evaluate a message, like a friend's research paper used to have that critical thinking. A critical thinking should be comprehensive, and critical thinking require you to think and evaluate while listening. This helps develop the critical thinking skills. And what are the causes of a poor listening? When we are not concentrating. Now, when some speeches are going on, we used to go for daydreamings, mind wandering, or dosing, and listening too hard, trying to remember every fact, no matter how minute it may be. Now, jumping to certain conclusions, focusing on delivery instead of message, like the speaker's accent, clothes, what he wore, the stuttering, the presentation tools, and all will lead to our or a poor listener. For a better listening, what are things that we should have to remember? Take listening very seriously. Like any skill, it takes practice and self discipline. We should have to restrict distractions. When you catch your mind wandering, make a conscious effort to pull it back on track. Try to anticipate what the speaker will say or do next. For a better listening, we need this to be practiced at every time. Do not be diverted by an appearance or delivery. Say, for example, that Lincoln and Gandhi were strange in appearance but were excellent speakers. When we hear the speeches of Abraham Lincoln, he comes with such a stylistics. But when you think about Gandhi, his way of dressing was also in a different way. Now, suspend judgments. Don't jump into a conclusion. Like an example, a closed mind is an empty mind. Focus on your listening. Listen for main points because a good speech has a few points to be. Listen for evidence. Is it accurate? Are the sources objective? Is it relevant? It is sufficient to support the speaker's claim. Listen for certain techniques. Study the speaker's technique as a listening tool. When we listen to, especially with the Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, there is a certain typical techniques that he has used when he deliver a speech. Now, if you want to have a good public speaking, first you have to analyze the audience. The good speakers are audience centered because a good speaker always listen for the desired response from the audience. Keep the audience foremost in mind at every step of preparation and presentation. Certain questions that you have to ask in your mind before starting the public speaking. To whom are you speaking? What is it you want them to know, believe, or do as a result? What is the most effective way to compose and present your speech to accomplish those ends? Keep this in your mind. Definitely, you will be able to get a good analysis about the audience or the listener. Now, the psychology of the audience. It's up to the speaker to make the audience choose to pay attention because every speech contains two messages. One from the speaker. Number two, very important, one received by the listener. People hear what they want to hear and disregard the rest. The speaker keep on talking, but when the listener gets that message, he will take whatever he needs and will leave out whatever he doesn't need. Next one, people are so egocentric. The tendency for people to be more interested in themselves, their own problems, and the way to solve them. They pay closer attention to what affects their own values, beliefs, and well being. A demographic audience analysis. Look for the observable audience traits. Identify the general features. Gauge their importance to the situations. Traits. One is age. Whatever you age, you are a product of your world. Gender doesn't mean a man or woman. Old stereotypes no longer apply. Avoid sexist language and references. Racial, ethnic, or cultural background. Religion. highly charged emotional issue. Be sure to consider your religious orientation or you might end up being embarrassed. Group membership, guilt by associations. People judge you by the company you keep. The situational audience analysis builds on demographic analysis, identifies traits unique to the speaking situation, like the size, the physical setting, the disposition towards a topic, like interest, knowledge, attitude, disposition towards the speaker, disposition towards the occasion. Adapting to the audience. Before the speech, you should have to have a few ideas in your mind as is how the audience is likely to respond. And just what you say to make it very clear, very appropriate, very convincing. And in during the speech even, things will not go exactly as you plan. But don't get panic. Remain calm and adapt. And remember a few things. Whom am I speaking to? What do I want them to know, believe, or do? What is the best way to accomplish this? Very important thing. Practice, 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 and practice. Now, as we have already told, a public speaking is all about an organized talk. In organizing a speech, a few important things to be remembered. A number of main points. It is better to be remembered for covering 3 or 4 main points rather than to leave the audience confused and sorting out 7 or 8 points you made. The strategic order of main points, like the chronological order, the spatial order, the casual order, the problem solution order, and the topical order. Each main point should be independent of the other main points. Use the same pattern of wording for each main point. Balance the amount of time spent on each main point. We have to be very careful when we talk about each and every point. Do not keep a lagging to what explanation that we are going to give to a main point. No, in organizing a speech, we need certain supporting materials. Main things, the flesh that fills out the skeleton of the speech. By themselves, main points are only assertions. Listeners need supporting materials to accept what the speaker says. There are 3 major types of supporting materials. 1. Examples, statistics, and testimony. Always provide sources to give credibility to the supporting materials. In organizing a speech, we have certain connectives to be used, like transitions, like words or phrases that indicate the speaker has finished one thought and is moving to another. For example, we can use the transitions like in additions, also, not only. That brings to me to the next topic. That means the audience should have to feel that you are skipping from or moving from one topic to the next topic. Next point, you should have the internal previews. Let the audience know what the speaker will take up next. Now, example. Now that we realize the seriousness I will address three solutions. We have the internal summaries even. Remind the audience of what they have just heard. Then the signpost. Brief statements that let you know where you are in the speech, like numerate first this, second this, or introduce a main point with a question or simple phrase. The most important thing to remember, you should have a beginning and an ending. Get attention and interest. Reveal the topic. Establish credibility and goodwill. Preview the body of the speech. Signal the end of the speech. Always try to reinforce the central idea. Now, the main important thing is the use of language. How well do you use language? Do you confuse the use of good or well? Do you use phrases like terrible disaster or a good benefit? Do you use in the eventuality instead of if? Do you clutter your speech with meaningless words as you know, like, basically, man, and really? We have certain classics. The dean of students promises to stop drinking on campus. For sale, unique home in downtown Craigsville. Large load, many trees, one you would enjoy living in. The meanings of words. Words have two kinds of meanings. One is denotative and the connotative. The denotative is a literal or the dictionary meaning of a word or a phrase. But a connotative meaning, the meaning suggested by the associations or emotions triggered by a word or phrase, give words their intensity and emotional power. The same words may have completely different effects on different audiences. Remember this thing. We have more things to remember. Use your language accurately. Use your language clearly. Use familiar words. Choose concrete words. Eliminate clutters. Say what you mean. Use your language vividly with imagery, concrete words, simile, metaphor, rhythm, parallelism, repetition, alliteration, and with the antithesis. Use your language appropriately to the audience, to the occasion, to the topic, and to the speaker. You always use a non-sexist language. Sexist language, language that promotes the stereotyping of people on the basis of gender. Non-sexist language that does not stereotype people on the basis of gender. Try to avoid the generic use of he, the use of man when referring to both men and women. Stereotyping job or social roles based on gender. There are different types of speech deliveries. 1. Read from a manuscript. Only done when absolute accuracy is required. Reciting from memory. Seldom done. If done, rehearse until you are very comfortable doing it. Should not sound spontaneous even if it has been rehearsed extensively. Vocalization, very important things. The volume, whether loudness or softness, the pitch, the highness or lowness of the voice, rated speed at which you speak. It can be to 120 or 150 word per minute is normal. Too slow leaves people hanging on your words. Too fast and they get confused when misinformation. Pauses, momentary breaks in your speaking. Take experience to know when to pause and pause at the end of thought units. Variety, vary the loudness, pitch, and rate to make the speech sound more natural and interesting. Pronunciation, use correct pronunciation of common words like genuine, theatre, nuclear, February, library. Articulation, or physical production of speech sounds. Dialect, variety of language distinguished by variations of accent, grammar, or vocabulary. There are certain nonverbal communications too. The study of nonverbal body motions as a systematic node of communication. People trust their ears less than their eyes. When a speaker's body language is inconsistent with their words, the listeners will tend to believe their eyes. Other aspects of nonverbal communications: personal appearance, body action, gesticulation, eye contact. Visual aids are also very important. There are many different types of visual aids: objects, models, photographs, drawings, graphs, charts, slides and videotapes, computer generated graphics, transparencies, multimedias, etc. They have to be get ready with the visual aid preparations. Prepare them well in advance. Keep it simple, stupid. Make sure they are large enough. Should be able to be seen by all viewers when presented, not just those up in the front seats. Use easy to read fonts. There is a reason for Times Roman because non-serif fonts are harder to read. Use a limited number of fonts. Use color effectively, highlighting. Use well-proven color schemes. What colors work well together is a tough choice for most people. Thank you guys for listening to public speaking.